Marriage is the path to sanctification for us. It's a way that God, we feel, has called us to be saints and our children also.
We know that marriage is hard work, that it takes work to keep a marriage together. And I think people just need to know that my marriage is real and God is with us in this marriage and we can do it. We can make it work.
I think being reminded of our mission as families is to be reminded of the truth of who we are.
Hopefully the humor of surrounding the complexity of marriage and family is that it brings light to the fact that it is difficult, you know, but it is worth it.
In the heart of many Catholic people, they still believe in the beauty of the family. They believe that the family is gospel, is good news.
The church has something very real and positive to offer. Encouraging people, helping people, walking with people, because we're all part of this church.
We've got a crisis in the family, and that crisis is not just in the United States. It's really throughout the West and even in some other parts of the world.
Right now is a unique time in that the secular environment is turning more and more away from the church and God's impact on their lives.
We have a certain technology, mentality. We can get organized and do and create as we want according to our plans and ideas. But in reality, we are creatures. All is given by God. Our existence, our life, and also the marriage is an institution coming out from the plans of God. It's an expression of His love.
We have a lot of problems today. First of all, the concept, what is a family? We have to deal with, to match with this gender problematic. We have to match with homosexual unions, because it's not marriage, it's not family, for our understanding. We have to do with problems of poverty and misery, of migration, and all these problems which are important to help people to achieve the happiness they want to have in a partnership of men and women together with children.
We are now living in a global community. We are no longer confined to our own culture. We are looking at various other cultures which are competing for the attention from our children.
Africa, we're a male society. There's bride price and so many things. So when a man marries, most impression attitudes that men have is that the woman is a kind of, not only a partner, but it's kind of a property, you know? If the woman as a person comes out and she has her own opinions and her own feelings, that tends to clash, and the men want to prevail, so they use violence.
The culture sort of favors polygamous, or at least is much more lenient towards polygamous situations. Or even if they're not polygamous officially, the structure of our economy for so many years was men leaving home and going to work in the mines and in the factories, and effectively setting up a double family structure.
We're in a very insecure economy. We're in, it's globally interconnected, it's outside of our control. The world economic situation is very precarious. People are reacting in part by pulling back from children.
My dad was very, very rejecting of homosexuality. And so I was worried that coming out could mean getting kicked out of the family.
I felt that my husband was going to disown him, and I knew that I wasn't going to. And I could just see this whole marriage, family thing in the trash can.
We have witnessed in the Philippines and Asia, typhoons that destroy whole villages, leaving some children orphans. Or you have parents who bury their children. How do you assist parents and families in such tragedies? What's the pastoral approach to strengthen them?
Really, immigration is not a political issue or an economic issue, it's really a family issue. Because what happens when people needs to migrate, most of the time, is that they are just looking to improve themselves and provide for their families.
I came here because my mom came here. So then, but I have to be separated from my, my brothers and other families back home. So most of us, immigrants here, we have that challenge because we have to be separated from our family.
When are you supposed to leave? To leave your home, to leave all your previous personal and family history, to leave your old mother or father who are not able to travel with you, to leave graves of your ancestors, to leave your churches. This is a tragedy.
Pope Francis now is really in a sort, I would say, in a sort of father. The father in a society which is orphan, without dream, without great visions, without great point of reference. Pope Francis now is really in a sort, I would say, in a sort of father, whom we can put our hope, our confidence, our mercy.
I think the Pope and the Synod has put its collective finger on the point of struggle. And the point of struggle is the following. We have these eruptions of behavior and choices that are very different from the Catholic sexual, marital, familial, parenting ethic.
I think he realizes that the family is the basic unit of Christianity. We call it the ecclesiola, the little church. I think he also realizes that there are a lot of forces that pull apart the family. He knows that from his time as Archbishop of Buenos Aires. But I also think it's a kind of clever way of addressing a lot of different issues. So divorce and remarriage, abortion, birth control, grandparents, children. When you think about it, the family encompasses a wide variety of issues. And I think by bringing the bishops together to talk about those things, he can sort of surface those things and help the bishops discern in a new way.
the spirit that Pope Francis shows all the time, which in my mind is a balance between being very clear about what we believe and very clear about the challenge of Christian discipleship on the one hand, and on the other hand, being really sensitive to the reality of people's lives and reluctant, almost never judging people in the efforts that they're making.
Our Holy Fathers enunciating the joy of the gospel and doing so with such compassion for people who are hurting. And I believe every family can say, well, there's aspects of our lives that need accompaniment. I think that message of our Holy Father is a great one, and the fact that he says this is going to be done within the context of our church teaching. I think that's a sign of great, great hope for us.
I would say Pope Francis is shaking things up in a necessary kind of way. There has been a moralism and a legalism in some sectors of the church that really needs to be challenged. You know, you can find yourself in certain camps of the church where we're the doctrinal camp and we're going to uphold the morality. And then you have the people over here, we're the merciful people and we're going to preach mercy. You can't preach one without the other.
Pope Francis, while vigorous in upholding the integrity of Catholic faith and morals, has suggested, good savvy pastor that he is that perhaps we do need a new tone.
Non cominciano a dire di accusare o di stigmatizzare, ma di parlare. E a un certo momento si può passare a un livello più alto, ma cominciare per l'accusazione e la stigmatizzazione non è un buon metodo pastorale.
That's what I'm hearing Pope Francis say. Go out and meet people where they are. We don't change the teaching. That's what we proclaim. But pastorally, practically, we have to meet people where they are and walk with them.
If it is true doctrine, it must inspire true pastoral approach. And if it is true pastoral approach, it must be connected to true doctrine. For me, the question is, do we know what true doctrine is?
It's a question of what we can do to do two things: to be merciful to people, but to continue to call them to conversion and repentance. Christ's teaching on marriage is not put there as a burden. It works in the long run. It's there to protect us. And the secret for all Catholic vitality is fidelity to the teachings of Christ and to the tradition of the Church. And these have got to be lived out in mercy and love, and all of us have got to ask for pardon and forgiveness. All of us are called to a deeper conversion. All of us are called to serve those who are on the margins. And that's a wonderful emphasis that Pope Francis has given.
How do you reach out to broken families or families that are alienated from the church? Well, the only way that can ever work is if neighbors reach out to neighbors. You know, first of all, by giving good example, but then also being interested in inquiring, what can we do to help? And how do we support one another?
Most Catholic families want to share their highest aspirations with their children. They want their children to grow having clear principles by which to live, understanding the formative teaching of the Church, knowing that that's what's best for them. And that too is something in which they need support. So the family is a work of faith.
The Church engages in so many activities to help the families, but fundamentally, fundamentally, the contribution of the Church is really the resource of faith. The consolation that comes from the faith, sharing in the Paschal mystery of the Lord and believing in the resurrection, believing that the story will have an ending in the triumph of good, in the triumph of God's love, of mercy. And we should not underestimate the power of faith.
Preghiamo dunque perché il Sinodo che domani si apre sappia ricondurre a un'immagine compiuta di uomo dell'esperienza coniugale e familiare. Riconosca, valorizzi e proponga quanto in essa c'è di bello, di buono e di santo. Abbracci le situazioni di vulnerabilità che la mettano alla prova, la povertà, la guerra, la malattia, il lutto, le relazioni ferite e sfilacciate da cui sgorgano disagi, risentimenti e rotture. Ricordi a queste famiglie, come a tutte le famiglie, che il Vangelo rimane buona notizia da cui sempre ripartire.
This is not going to be a synod like the past synods.
Sono padri che dicono che cambiare un po', altri dicono no, cambiare no. Ci sono due campi.
We are going to have to make some hard choices, I think.
We're not giving in to the secular agenda. We're not collapsing in a heap.
When you will have an easy world, very clear, black and white, no difference, no graduality, no development.
Conversion cannot say or cannot mean that we relativize the doctrine of the Church.
The open debate does not damage the Church, but helps the Church, gives a good image. There is an open debate, and we will achieve a large consensus.
Ricordo San Giovanni Paolo II quando diceva: l'errore e il male devono essere sempre condannati e combattuti, ma l'uomo che cade o che sbaglia deve essere compreso e amato. Noi dobbiamo amare il nostro tempo e aiutare l'uomo del nostro tempo. E la Chiesa deve cercarlo, accoglierlo e accompagnarlo, perché una Chiesa con le porte chiuse tradisce se stessa e la sua missione, e invece di essere un ponte diventa una barriera. Con questo spirito chiediamo al Signore di accompagnarci nel Sinodo e di guidare la sua Chiesa per l'intercessione della Beata Vergine Maria e di San Giuseppe, suo castissimo sposo.